Yemen because of the civil war that's happening there. It's very dangerous for people to live there. And so they're trying to take every opportunity to actually leave and be able to come to the United States and live a better life for their families. So we found out that 300 of them actually got this diversity visa invitation, and they had to leave Yemen because there is not a U.S. embassy there. They had to leave Yemen and go to either Malaysia, China, India, Djibouti, or Jordan or Egypt. And they had to sell all of their house belongings, their cars, and borrow a lot of money from family and friends to be able to buy a plane ticket to go to these countries and live there while they are waiting for their application. So the Muslim ban basically affected their process to actually submit all the paperwork and have their interview. And so they ended up finishing up all their money. They didn't know what to do. Nobody was giving them answers if they're going to get a visa or not. And so we filed a lawsuit on their behalf in July. And so today, the court just ruled, and we can't make, I don't understand it because it says that it's in support of them, but then it's saying that it's only relief for certain people. So I've been on the phone all day trying to figure out what the heck does this mean, and will it help people, or it's just, another issue. So I've been trying to get a hold of the lawyers, and they've been busy trying to get back to me on this. So anyhow, as I mentioned to you, there's a huge war going on in Yemen. It happened through the Arab Spring. How many of you remember the Arab Spring?
I do.
Okay, so the Arab Spring started in Tunisia, and then it started growing in other cities, in other countries, and it also happened in Yemen. And so when it happened in Yemen, they were able to get the president that was there for 25 years out, and then they put in somebody temporary who was the former vice president, and then they were supposed to actually do a huge election, and then through the election identify who will be the next president. So what happened was that whole process was undermined by people who didn't want this to happen, and one of the people that undermined it was actually the former president. He fled Yemen and then came back, and he started creating divisions between the Yemenis that are there and then the Yemeni Houthis, which are also Yemenis, but they are members of the Shia community. And so right now you have Yemen internally fighting against each other, and they were trying to kill the president that was in place. They evacuated him, and sadly, he asked Saudi Arabia to intervene. And so that's why Saudi Arabia now is involved in the war in Yemen.
So Debbie?
He told them, we need your help. They're taking over the country. And so that's why Saudi Arabia is there. So people in the Yemeni community are very divided. Some people want Saudi Arabia to be there and to stop the Houthis. Some people don't want Saudi Arabia to be there. And so the whole problem right now is all because of the former president going back into Yemen and creating these divisions and inciting the conflict as it is today.
Hey, Debbie, let me ask you to pause for a second because they may have questions. I don't know if the kids know what the Arab Spring is. And
Okay, so
let's just, do you guys want to just raise your hand if you have a question for Debbie about what she has said so far? And if you didn't understand anything, you can say.
Yeah, you can definitely say it, and I can answer you, or Sunita can answer too.
Jackson has a question, Debbie.
What's the Arab Spring?
So the Arab Spring started by people wanting to basically get rid of their old presidents and get new presidents to, rule the country. And so
wow, we need an American spring, right, Debbie? We need an American spring.
Same thing.
Yeah, now with
Bring it here.
Trump there, yes, we certainly do. So that being said, they were all people going out and protesting in the streets, wanting to get rid of the old presidents and get new, vibrant presidents that would actually be supportive of them and who would actually care about what the people wanted. And so they were basically protesting in the streets 24/7. And that's what they did. And so in some countries it was successful, in some countries it hasn't. Did you guys hear about the Syrian conflict?
Oh, yeah.
And the Syria refugees?
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Syria was involved in a Arab Spring as well. And unfortunately, they were not able to topple their president. He's still there, and that's why we see so many people are refugees and are being killed, and it's just such a sad situation.
It is. Boone, you have a question?
Yeah. So the Civil War is between the people who want a new president and the people who don't?
Yes.
What do you want?
Well, I want to make sure that Yemenis have a president that is reflective of what they want as a people. I want the war to end. I want, Saudi Arabia to leave, and I want them to bring peace to that region. But right now, because the conflict has gotten so complex, you even have Iran involved. So Iran now is providing military support and weapons to the Houthis because they want to try to take over Yemen. Does all that make sense?
Which one are the Houthis again?
The Houthis are Shia. Do you guys know the difference between Shia and Sunnis? No. Okay, so the Shia and Sunni, they're all Muslim, but they are different groups. They have a little bit of different beliefs. And so Iran is Shia, and they, have a different way of ruling and want to do things. And so right now, Saudi Arabia is not Shia. And so the biggest conflict is really between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And of course, the United States does not like Iran. Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
Okay, so of course, the United States is also playing a role in this conflict. The United States is helping Saudi Arabia with intelligence information of what's happening in Yemen. Do you guys know what intelligence information is?
Yes.
You want to tell us what it is, Django?
It's like information that the U.S. gets from like spy agencies, like what's going on in like inside, like in the government and things like that.
Yes, that is correct. So that's how they're helping. Now, just to give you also a little more information about the conflict, when the conflict broke out, the war in Yemen, people who are Yemeni Americans who were visiting the Yemen at that time in 2015 in March, they got stuck, and the U.S. refused to actually evacuate them. And their reason for it was too dangerous for them to go in there, because if they tried to get them out, they would risk endangering their lives, which is not true, but that's what they told everybody. So every country, China, Russia, England, all the countries that had people that lived there, India, all the countries, they sent planes and got their people out of Yemen.
To keep them
except
safe.
for the United States. So we had to have third-party rescuers to rescue people out of Yemen.
What's the difference between Sunni and Shiite? Shia? Isn't it like Shiite or?
So they believe in the same things. The only thing that is different is that the Shia believe that the reigning leaders, and this is back during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, should be from the Prophet Muhammad's family, not have other people ruling. And so that's where the division came between the two groups. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
But they believe the same thing.
Which one are you?
They pray 5 times a day. They fast. they do a lot of things that are the same, except that they have different views on, on the Prophet. So they only recognize the Prophet Muhammad and his family, and don't recognize all the other people that were, the supporters of the Prophet, which are like his allies that helped him and worked with him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Are you Sunni or Shia?
I generally don't like to answer that question because I really don't like people to start categorizing us because it's so divisive. I'd rather, for people to know me as Muslim. So that way, if I'm Muslim, if I'm Shia or Sunni, it doesn't matter because we're all Muslim and we should all be united.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, but do you understand why I'm doing that?
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine, Debbie.
Because I have a lot of friends that are both Sunni and Shia.
Yeah.
And I don't want these divisions to play out here in the
Right.
United States.
And you
I
want
have
peace for
friends that
everyone.
Yes.
You just
exactly.
want peace for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And so, will you tell us a bit? You're from Yemen, and the people that are being helped by Arab American Family Support Center are people from Yemen who live here. And that's the community that KBF kids are meeting this year. So I wonder if you could tell us a little about that community and how this war affects them, because I imagine that's their family, those are their extended family members back in...
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's sad and upset about what's happening in Yemen. They really don't want to see the war, and they really want peace in that region. But because it's become so politicized, people in New York and other parts of the country, they don't even speak about the conflict because they don't want to basically offend anybody. Because remember I told you how people are divided? There are some people who want Saudi Arabia involved, and then there are some people who don't want it involved.
Right.
Yeah.
And so people in the United States at all costs try to avoid it because they don't know where people are politically and they don't want to offend them. And so, like, if you guys remember, do you remember the Yemeni bodega strike?
Yep.
Yeah.
So when we organized that, we had to basically make sure that we did not let the politics of Yemen get in the way, and we made sure that people did not talk about, the conflict there that would basically divide people.
What's the Yemeni bodega strike? I don't know about that.
Some of our kids were in it.
So if they can tell you,
Yeah. Satya, do
why
you remember?
don't you guys tell them?
Kind of.
So I guess I missed that.
What do you remember, Satya? It was right by school. Satya, do you remember? Because we walked
Kind
right
of.
into it. What do you remember?
There was like millions maybe.
Felt like millions of people?
Yeah, felt like.
And?
All in front of the
And who were they?
Yemeni.
And what had they done that day? Do you remember?
They had like closed down all the stores
Their own stores, right?
and all that stuff and went there.
And if you
Because
close...
so many of the stores we go to every day
Yeah.
are run by
Uh-huh.
Yemeni people. So
And if you close your store, what does it mean for that day? What do you lose?
money.
Money. So they sacrificed, right? Their earnings that day to make a statement. And what was their statement? Do you remember?
Their statement, I don't I assume that their statement was saying like, you can't block us out because you need us. You are dependent on us. We all need each other, and we shouldn't be kicking each other out.
Is that right, Debbie?
Yes, perfect.
That's perfect.
You guys are so smart. I'm so impressed.
I have a question.
Freya has a question.
That was exactly the message that they wanted to send
So,
to Trump and the Muslim ban.
Right.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
so you're Yemeni. I'm just wondering because I don't know. Did you ever live in Yemen?
So I was born there, and I came at the age of 3 from Yemen, and I never went back. And the reason I didn't is because my parents, my siblings, my cousins, all of my immediate family is in the U.S.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you what it was like if you lived there, but do you know like if there are any like safe areas where there's not like a crazy amount of war? Are there like any areas that like you can go and you
And be safe.
yeah, and be pretty safe?
Yeah. So there is. So the area that that people have been fleeing to are actually the mountains. There are villages in the mountains that are safe that people have fled to, and so they're staying there because it's really hard for like the military to come up there and to do anything. And so that's really like the safe haven for many of the Yemenis right now. But the thing is that they rely on fuel, for their cars, and for their electricity and all of that. So all of this now is very expensive to purchase. So luckily for them, many of them, they have their own lands, farmlands that they're, farming and are able to eat from that. But life is very difficult for them right now.
And with Kids for a Better Future supporting Arab American Family Support Center this year, what do you think is the most important thing for the kids to focus on in terms of their advocacy for the year? And also, can you tell the kids if you know anything about the organization that they've decided to support?
The organization is actually the first Arab American organization in the U.S. Sorry, I shouldn't say in the U.S., in New York City. And so they really have supported all diverse Arab communities. You probably, are not aware, but there are actually 22 Arab nations. And so they have actually helped and supported people from all 22 countries, to be able to integrate and to become citizens in the U.S. And so right now, the biggest population of people that they're helping are actually Yemenis. It's like 90% of their clients are Yemenis because they're just fleeing Yemen and coming to the U.S. And need that kind of help and support.
Well, do you guys have more questions? I think we should let Debbie go because she's going to a very important meeting right now. But maybe...
Sorry, guys.
No, it's totally fine. But maybe if they have questions after this, after listening to everything you told us, they can email you or Skype with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. We can FaceTime.
Yeah.
FaceTime save the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Terrific.
So thank you, Debbie. Everyone say thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck tonight.
Yeah,
Okay, good luck to you guys.
Thank you, Debbie. Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.